Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the co-founder of Digital Leadership Associates. I'm also the author of the book Social Selling: Techniques to Influence Buyers and Change Makers. It's all just available in the Chinese version now as well. So with me today is Julia Bramall. Julia, we're going to talk about Facebook ads for small business.
Yes.
For me, you're the Facebook ads expert.
Oh, thank you.
But before we go into that, tell everybody where they can get hold of you, where your Twitter and Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, my Twitter is @Julia Bramble. Surprise, surprise. My Facebook personal, I think, is Julia Bramble1, but you'll find me if you just type in Julia Bramble. Instagram is Julia Bramble. I've got Instagram and Instagram stories and stuff. So yeah, please come and find me.
And the thing about what I love about you is that you're obviously a really nice person and a very approachable person as well. But you're a great person to follow because you do all the right things.
Oh, good. So, well, coming from you, that's great. Thanks very much.
I went and had a look at all your and you go to a Twitter and go, oh, that's interesting. You go, yeah, I'd retweet that, and then the next one, yeah, I'd retweet that, and you go, I'd retweet that as well. And that's kind of rather than, where sometimes you go to people's Twitter and you go, no, that's a bit dull. That's using crap automation there. And then you go through it so we're talking about small business and we're talking about what small businesses should do. Yeah. I always tell people that before they jump on, they should listen to people. And you would be one of the people that I would always recommend to listen to say that kind of feels what you should be doing.
Oh, thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. And by the way, it's hard work.
It is hard work.
So I mean, I know that I can see from what you're doing, you're thinking about what you're posting, and you're going, is this going to be educational? Is this going to be insightful? Is this going to make an impact to the person that reads it?
Totally. I've got a real thing about these Twitter accounts, especially that are just literally taking stuff from feeds and just churning it out there with no thought as to whether it adds any value to people at all. And we all know how precious everybody's time and energy are. And if you're just throwing stuff out there for the sake of it to try and get a little piece of the pie and a little bit of attention, it's just not on. So yeah, thank you.
It just adds to the noise, really. I mean, I got 30,000 followers on Twitter just by retweeting other people.
Right.
It was only when I got to 30,000 that it started leveling off that I actually realized I needed to create content myself. And then I went through that terrible process that people go through where they go, I need to create content. I'll do it tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
It's on. It's on the to-do list. Yeah. I'll go to the dentist before, create content. And we've all been through that journey, but we're here to talk about Facebook ads.
We are.
So tell me about them. I know nothing about Facebook ads. Why would
you know what I've told you? Know what I've told you, Timothy, but you've probably forgotten it all.
Yeah, well, it's true. The only thing I know about Facebook ads is what you've told me. So tell me, why as a small business owner should I use them? Why should I get involved in them? Why would anybody listen to them or read them? Okay,
right. Well, as we've just been talking about, creating content for social media can be, for some people, like pulling teeth. And so actually build a presence and build an audience out on social media organically, we all know takes time and takes a lot of effort. So that was a great introduction, actually, to what we want to talk about. Facebook ads allow you to actually share that content that you have painfully, in some instances, crafted, and know that it is going to get in front of exactly the right people for you. As a small business owner, it starts to give you back the control. So we know that Facebook itself is dominated by an algorithm at the minute, as is Instagram and Twitter also. So if you share stuff on social media organically, you don't know that the people that you want to see are actually going to see it. It's all very hit and miss. And actually, unless you've been super, super strategic in the way that you've built up your following, the people that see your stuff aren't necessarily exactly the right people for you to hear exactly that right piece of content in, if you like, the buyer's journey, in their customer journey from stranger to becoming a customer. A lot of people think that Facebook ads are all about selling, and they've got a reputation for being all about selling, whereas actually the way I teach Facebook ads and the way I approach them is an extension actually of your broader social media strategy. So I say to people, Facebook ads are actually a really targeted communication tool, because they allow you to take a piece of content, which isn't necessarily a buy me, and put it in front of exactly the right people for you. So you've got control.
So I mean, the difference, as I see it, is that in the past you put an ad in a newspaper or something like that, and you didn't know, as people were reading the newspaper, who was actually going to look at your ad. But now what you're able to do with Facebook is you're actually able to target that right down to a number of, from what I understand it, very, very tight segmentation areas.
Yes, absolutely. So you can think about so you can think about the type of people that you really want to see this message that you're putting out. But a newspaper ad would always have some sort of sales attached to it. It's very rare that you would see a newspaper ad that was just, for example, giving value. But what we can do with Facebook ads is actually use them as an extension of our content marketing, if you like. So we can use them as a way to make sure that a beautifully crafted piece of content, whether it's a video, whether it's just a Facebook post itself, does actually get seen by the people that we want to see it. So we can actually start people off on that journey with us by putting that piece of content in front of them. It's just, instead of doing it organically and using a bit of hit and miss, or hoping that your website is SEO'd properly or whatever, we're paying to get it into the newsfeed in front of those people. And
I think that I'm just going to emphasize this thing of not selling is actually really important, because, especially it's really difficult for me, somebody who was, I've been in sales for 25 years, and the first thing you were supposed to do whenever you go in to see anybody, if you had a face-to-face meeting, was to sell. And in fact, nobody likes that.
No,
none of us like being sold to. And sometimes we have this difficulty moving away from, we go, yes, Tim, yeah, I agree. I don't really like being sold to, which is why I go on the internet and I avoid salespeople. And then we go into the office, sit at our desk, and immediately try selling to people.
Yeah, totally. I know. Isn't it crazy? So I say to people, when they're thinking about their online presence and when they're thinking about Facebook ads in particular, just think how you would behave offline. So offline, if you met someone at a networking event or you went to a dinner party or something, you wouldn't actually walk up to them and say, hey, I'm Robert, buy my stuff. Whereas as soon as you get onto Facebook and click into your Facebook ads manager, that seems to be the switch that goes on in people's heads. So they're going out there and putting an offer in front of people who've never, ever met them before. And then, of course, those people don't buy and they say, oh, Facebook ads don't work for us. And of course, the people that have actually seen that offer, they feel a bit spammed, as you've said, no one likes feeling sold to. But the other point also is that if you go to an audience of, say, 1,000 people and you've got an offer of something to buy, maybe one person out of those 1,000 is in buying mode because they're on Facebook and the context is not about buying on Facebook. So 1 in 1,000 might sort of be interested. You've lost the other 999. Whereas if you go out there with something that actually gives value to people or attracts their attention, that can start to build that relationship, then actually you can attract maybe 750 out of that 1,000 and actually move those down the customer pathway.
And when you mean value, that you mean things like be educational or be insightful or tell them something they don't know already?
Yeah, absolutely. So think about who it is that you really want to attract, who your ideal client or customer is. And of course, we've all got different versions of that. So you will know yours, you will know their context, you will know how much they know about the problem that they've got. Do they actually know they've got the problem, or have they got the symptoms and all that sort of stuff? And then start sharing stuff that is going to be useful and or maybe entertaining, that's going to help them solve a little chunk of that problem, or give them a bigger overview that allows them to see that they can solve it and this is the direction that they need to go to. Yeah, that kind of thing.
And do you see, when you say, that's an important point around, if we read an article, we'll only take one thing away from it. If I hear a presentation, I'll only take one thing away from it.
Yeah.
So rather than go and present an ad or present an article where we go, right, we're selling you know, we're selling books and we're going to put every single book that we're selling out there. All that will do is confuse. What you need to do is keep it simple. Is that what you're saying? And saying, right, here's one book, here's another book.
Yeah, absolutely. So say one of the people that I've been working with offers baby massage for babies that don't sleep, and parents, of course, are at the end of their tether. So the first thing she could go out with her Facebook ads might be, you know, I would extend it maybe to 3, but, you know, 3 ways that you can get a restless baby to sleep, for example. So it could be a very short video, a 1-minute video showing 3 little tips, or a blog that gives you 3 ideas that you might not have tried for getting your baby to sleep. And of course, if you're in that situation, it's quite possible, if you see that you will then take that content on board. So you start to kind of think, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. If you use it and it works, wow, this person is amazing, you know, give me more, I want to know more about this, and so on. And you can see then that you start to grow the relationship. These people start to know who you are and what you're about, and you can encourage the men to take the next step with you.
Yeah, there's a great case study on the internet about mattresses and about how you sell a mattress.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, the way that they sell a mattress is that they go through the technical details of it.
Yes.
And actually, that's not what you want. What you actually want is a good night's sleep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's one mattress company that I did see advertising on Facebook whereby you could buy their mattress. I think you basically got it on a 100-day trial or something. And if you didn't fall in love with it, you sent it back. And I thought, well, yeah, that's just perfect, isn't it? That goes with what we're saying. Lead with the value.
Yes. So we've come up with our idea of our we have a product. We've come up with our idea. How do we go about looking at Facebook and doing the ads? What do we need to do?
What do we need to do? Well, we need to think about our customer journey and providing pieces of content for each piece of that journey. And that comes from knowing our audience really, really well. So you're going to get the best results as you do on social media by knowing who it is that you actually want to talk to, because we know that even in the news feed, just because you put an ad out there doesn't mean to say that people are going to pay any attention to it.
Yeah, so, I get ads for breast implants.
Great. What are you not telling us, Timothy?
Which is something that I haven't ever searced for. And B, I don't think I need. But maybe you know. But
someone's trying to tell you something.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the examples that we talked about before was, you know, if you do something to do with weddings, you might want to know that people have got engaged.
Yes, absolutely, and so you can target people who are engaged, but also think about, are the people who are engaged actually sort of long-term engaged status, or are they actually physically actively planning their wedding? So yes, we can target people who are engaged on Facebook, but we can also use Facebook interest targeting to think about, well, what would they actually be interested in that shows that they are actively moving towards planning a wedding, because they are the people that we particularly want to target. So think about maybe the magazines that they might be reading, or the people that they might be following, for example, that give a clue to the fact that they're actually planning their wedding. So there are lots and lots of different ways to target people on Facebook. You've got things like demographics, you know, relationship status and where people live and whether they're parents or not. You've got things like income level. You've got things like job title, and that depends on what people have actually called themselves. So you might have to get a little bit imaginative here and think out of the box. Or employer. You've got things like house composition, whether you actually live with housemates or whether you're, you know, a family in a household. And then, of course, you've got interests. And interest can give us a big clue as to motivation to solve that problem or to achieve that dream.
How do you mean? What do you mean? Give me an example.
What do I mean? So I target small business owners when I'm running my own Facebook ads. So I think about, how am I going to target people that are using Facebook who are small business owners? So there is a filter on Facebook that allows me to target people who are Facebook page admins. So for me, that's a really good use of my time. However, I also want to target specific types of small business owners. So I want to target those who are more at the beginning stages of their online marketing, say, or who are using online marketing but finding it a bit overwhelming. So I think I go to sometimes the tools that people would be using. So if you think about email marketing software, I think this is a really good way of splitting people out. So you've got small business owners who use MailChimp, which is at the simple end of the scale and also the cheap end of the scale. And then you've got small business owners who use Infusionsoft, for example. So for myself personally, I would be looking to target people who like, in Facebook terms, MailChimp rather than Infusionsoft, because I know that they're going to be my type of people. So if you start thinking about the tools or the kit that people use, maybe the organizations they belong to, maybe the events that they go to, the media, so magazines, for example, or bloggers that they would actually follow, you can start to get some really big clues as to who are going to be the right people for you.
Right.
But
yeah.
I would always say you will never ever find the perfect audience just by second guessing. What we really need to do is take an ad, a creative, a video copy, and run it to one audience that you think is going to be a good one, but run the same ad to another audience and another audience with a low budget, and then just actually find out which audience resonates with your message the best.
So you're saying that the best thing to do then is to start experimenting?
Absolutely. And Facebook, and it sounds complicated, right? But Facebook actually makes it really, really easy.
Yeah.
When you go in to set up an ad, they've actually got a split test feature.
Right.
So basically, as long as you tell them the different features that you want, the different filters you want to use, they will run those experiments for you.
Right. So and you can experiment with different types of content. So it may be that you're trying video, and
yes.
you know, while this is, you know, going to be 20 minutes, I think the average time that people watch video on YouTube is something like 7 minutes, or is it 4 minutes or something like that? But if we're thinking about scrolling on my mobile, it's 1.something seconds or something in terms of attention.
You do need to make an impact pretty quickly with your Facebook ad. So if you're not using video, you've got to work really hard with your image and your copy. Of course, if you are using video, which I recommend if you possibly can, then you've got an advantage because of the movement, but you still got to make that impact pretty quickly.
And so so in terms of A/B testing, and is that when you just test away and then find something that works?
Yes, well, I would say the first thing that you want to test is the audience, because you want to find the people that are resonating with the message that you put out. And then once you've found something that works, you can then test again. I mean, this is the thing, that the big internet marketers, if you like, have got us all thinking that we've got to use crazy complex funnels, and we've got to have masses of testing going on, and we've got to use great big budgets for our Facebook ads. And actually none of that is true, because we can get away with just testing, say, a few audiences and going with the one that seems to resonate with our message the best. And then we can put something different out there in a week's time. So unless you're actually going to be running ads like forever and a day, and unless you've got such a massive budget that a tiny difference in cost per action is going to have a huge impact, then actually the time that you spend testing is probably better spent actually doing other stuff in your business. So I would say test your audiences, maybe go as far as testing a bit in your creative, but otherwise, you know, just think about this customer pathway that we're going to take people down and actually start doing that. And we do that by using retargeting. So I don't want to get to the end of this and not talk about retargeting. So I'm putting my little pointer in the sand there.
Okay, we will come back to that. So I agree with you that actually sometimes you can be testing so much that you just don't do anything. And it confuses people. The average small business owner who has maybe got one member of staff, or, you know, they're doing everything, you know, we're wearing, I don't know, 16 different hats in our business. If you suddenly got to find the skills to wade through a couple of pages of data and test this, that, and the other alternative and try to read some meaning into it, it's not going to happen. So let's be realistic and say, well, let's just test the different audiences, because we can all cope with that concept. And, you know, if that's as far as we get, that's fine. And then there's a certain amount of just do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's just throw some money at it and then see what happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we're not talking lots of money.
No, we're not talking lots of money. If you've got 10 quid, that's what I'm saying at the moment. If you've got £10 and 10 minutes to set up an ad, then you can start to get hundreds, if not thousands, of people actually seeing the message that you put out there. And for a lot of small business owners, the thing that could make their difference to their business is simply getting a lot more eyeballs on the stuff that they've got, the right eyeballs, you know, the right people, knowing that they actually exist. So just encouraging them to do that much is a big step.
So I in prep for this, I read a Neil Patel article.
Oh yeah.
It's 22 different ways of getting success from Facebook ads.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking at, and it was things like a call to action.
Yes.
Depending on where you put the image, can make an impact. You can see, as I said earlier on, you only remember one thing from an article.
Yes.
I remember two things. But that all seemed, for me, that all seemed very simple. I don't mean that in a negative way.
Yeah.
To be, oh yeah, so you know, that could actually make an impact. And what I would say is a lot of what I know about social media is through experimentation.
Yeah.
You know, one day I got up and I put out a tweet that said my blog at the beginning, and then I wrote the tweet, and then I found I got more engagement by that, and so I just started doing it. And it was never something that I actually thought about, so what I would say to people is experiment away, and you know, £10 here and £10 there, and you'll suddenly find things probably that you didn't know about.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you're not someone that likes experimenting, and I think lots of people are actually, you know, a little bit reticent about it, then
we don't like thinking we're wrong, do we?
Exactly. Then just think about maybe putting out a variety of different messages, a variety of different pieces of content. And people say to me, well, I don't know what on earth to put out, you know, that first piece of content to attract awareness, what do I put out? And so I say, well, just imagine that you are sitting opposite, say, your friend in a coffee shop, and they've got the problem that you help with, and they really want your advice. You know, what are the top 3 things that you would say to them to do? And just think about it like that. Think about helping out a friend. And I think all these tips we can use to take this more complex stuff and actually turn it into situations that we will come across in real life, the more we can do that, I think the more that this fear that we've got goes away, it dissipates.
Yeah, so I was sitting next to my my partner last night, and she's writing a letter because she wants to put one of those letters in Christmas cards.
Oh yeah.
And I find those irritating, but she wants to do it. And anyway, she said to me, explain to me what you're doing right now.
Right.
So I had to explain to her in a language that would be understood in one of these letters that comes out of a Christmas card, what I'm doing right now, which you have to sit there and think for a bit and then really, really make it simple.
Yes.
And that's kind of what you were saying, isn't it, in terms of that simplicity of message.
Yes, absolutely. So we want a nice, simple message, but something that is going to attract the right people in for you. But I just know that people get stuck even at that stage. That's why I'm saying, you know, imagine talking to a friend, and then you don't have to be stuck anymore.
So Julia, what's a call to action?
A call to action is where you are saying to somebody, do something, please. We tend to get, especially on Facebook, we tend to get into this soporific type scrolling state, don't we? Where we're meant to be doing something else, but we're actually on Facebook to procrastinate quite often, or we're kind of, if you ever get a chance, lolling in front of the TV watching Gogglebox, and you've actually got Facebook on your phone. So we need someone to kind of give us a little jolt and tell us what we need to do next. And for a lot of people, Facebook ads, oh, my call to action is going to be to sell something. No, it isn't. But your call to action might be to click here and read the blog. The call to action might be to learn more. The call to action might be to visit the website. But actually, I would say, and I think I read the same Neil Patel article actually, but I would say with the type of Facebook ads that I'm talking about doing, maybe the first 1 or 2 that people see, just share content. And don't actually necessarily think that you've got to give them a call to action. Just be out there, letting them get to know you, because this is your introduction to the outside world.
So I did an interview a couple of days ago with Mike Holton, around blogging. And what he does is that he has he thinks about the customer journey in terms of, okay, so this is the first piece of content. And if they're interested in that, so you said, the top things you need to think about getting a good night's sleep when you've got a new baby or something like that.
Yeah.
So you show that as that video, and in terms of the top 3, and then it may be what you do is you decide that there's a further top 10. So if someone's interested in those top 3, you take them, and the call to action is then to show them the top 10. So it's not necessarily to say, sign up for my baby massage. It may be that you're actually giving them more information.
Absolutely. And if you've taken them across to a blog in the first place, if that's what the first ad has done, then, within the blog, you could have embedded an opt-in form to actually give you, leave your email address and actually get a download of the top 10. Or, as you said, what you can actually do from that ad is encourage them then to go and have a look at a video that gives them 10 tips, or indeed goes into more depth on one of the tips. If you just kind of glossed over and given a summary, then they might actually want to go into one of those tips in more depth. But also, I'm saying don't necessarily think that you've got to use a call to action, because we can actually take action ourselves, and we can use Facebook retargeting to go back to those people who did show an interest initially. So the people who did say, click through and go to our blog, or the people who did watch our video, we can go back and actually show the next ad in the series to those people. So that's why I'm saying you haven't got to have a call to action in there in the first one, because we can actually take the action ourselves. We can be proactive.
So tell us about retargeting then, Julia.
Retargeting is amazing. And this is where the magic happens when you're using Facebook ads. So Facebook ads allow you to go back and show another ad, which is basically can be showing a piece of content, remember, not selling. Show another ad to people who have clicked through to your website, either any page on your website or specific pages. You can show another ad to people who are on your email list, because we know that open rates are generally about 20%. So you can actually start to get your message across to the 80% maybe who didn't open your email. But you can also show ads now to people who have engaged with content on your Facebook page, and that would include your ads, or who have watched a video. And you can actually get even more specific than that. So you can start to show Facebook ads to people who have watched a certain percentage of a video that you've shown them. Like, what other marketing tool is there out there that allows you to go back and share a specific piece of content with people who have already watched, say, 75% of your previous piece of content? I mean, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yes.
Why isn't
I'm glad you
doing
think so. Because small business owners, especially, they see this word remarketing or retargeting, and they just think, oh, crikey, that's scary. I can't possibly do that. That's complicated. That's funnels. That's pixels. That's internet marketing. I can't do that. Whereas actually,
that's exactly how.
Really simple process. Yeah, exactly. But it is a really simple process to set up, and all you've got to think about is, well, like, what do I want to show people first? What do I want to show people second? What do I want to show people third? And then the Facebook does most of the setting up for you.
Right. So we're now at 28 minutes. So we're
okay.
Time's up. I know that we could talk about this all day.
I could.
Remind everybody again where they can get hold of you.
Okay, I'm on Twitter at Julia Bramble, Facebook personal Julia Bramble 1, or my Facebook business page is Julia at Bramble Buzz social media. Instagram, Julia Bramble.
Your website's Julia.
My website is bramblebuzz.co.uk.
But you're not. But the thing is that you use the same photo and that over all your different.
Yeah, I do. So find me anywhere. I would love to come and chat with you anywhere.
And
Twitter and Instagram is probably easier.
And as I said earlier on, you're a really approachable person. And if people have a problem with Facebook ads, they should be contacting you. That's my.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Julia.
Yeah, I would love to help. I just want to get the word out that they're brilliant things to use, and everyone should be using them.
Yes, absolutely. Julia, it's been great, fantastic talking to you today. I hope the rest of the day is as exciting as it's been this morning.
I'm not sure it can live up to that, Tim.
Thanks, Julia.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.